Hi, I'm Dejan Kosutic and welcome to Cyber and AI Perspectives. Today I'll speak about disruptive incidents and the fact that most companies think that they are ready for them, but they're not. We are living in a world where ransomware attacks are becoming a normal thing, but also where outages or data loss can be caused by a software glitch or a malicious insider or a loss of power. Not to mention the risks of using AI agents that will act autonomously on company servers and networks. Most companies nowadays are not talking about if an incident is going to hit them, but when. And yes, most companies are preparing to react to those incidents. They write incident response plans, business continuity plans, disaster recovery plans, and so on. And now comes the catch. Are those plans enough to restart your operations after you've been hit with a large incident? And just to clarify, I'm not speaking here about smaller incidents, like when one of your computers gets infected or when your server is down for a couple of minutes. I'm speaking about disruptive incidents where the disruption can last for days or where a large chunk of your data is missing. I would argue that these plans alone are not enough. Let's see why. First of all, plans alone cannot replace missing resources. For example, if you do not have a redundant IT or communication systems, you won't be able to recover in a reasonable time. Also, if you didn't create backups and secure them properly, it will be extremely hard to recreate this data quickly. But this is also true for people. If you don't have ready replacements for key people in the company, you will not have the knowledge needed to get everything running again. And if a company does not have a clear idea on how quickly its processes need to recover or how much data it can afford to lose, it will be very hard to prepare the right resources. For example, a very different backup system is needed for real-time backup than for backup that is performed every 24 hours. Second, plans usually contain a series of steps where one person is waiting for another to complete a certain task. Some of these tasks are manual and some depend on various technologies. Now, imagine if you have dozens or hundreds of people and dozens or hundreds of systems where everyone is or everything is dependent on someone or something else. What could go wrong? And third, perhaps the most important point, even the most carefully written plans are not going to survive the chaotic reality of a disruptive incident. In stressful situations, people react irrationally. For example, have you ever been in a car accident? Or perhaps even in a fight? If yes, then you know that people can do very strange things in such situations. So ultimately, even if you do have plans, you may not have the resources to execute them, or those plans may simply not be realistic, or people may not be in the right state of mind to act upon them. What does this really mean? It means that many companies are living under an illusion that they are safe, whereas such a disruptive incident could cause major business damage or in some cases even bankruptcy. So how can companies become resilient enough to recover from disruptive incidents? Among other things, they need to define business continuity strategies, including RTOs and RPOs, which will determine what resources are needed and when. They also need to understand the dependencies between people, processes, and systems and suppliers, and align their recovery plans accordingly. And finally, they need to exercise those plans regularly through realistic scenarios involving everyone who would play a role during an incident, including also senior management and key suppliers. The know-how for all of these things already exists in business continuity frameworks like ISO 22301 and also others. So I'm not going to go into details about it here. There are lots of resources out there that can help you out. And by the way, the concepts of business continuity and resilience have been converging in the last couple of years. So you will see these terms being used interchangeably. So what I wanted to point out are two things. First, the most dangerous is this thought, we are ready. This creates a false sense of readiness and prevents companies from preparing more thoroughly. And second, as I mentioned earlier, you cannot avoid incidents, but what you can do is prepare for them. This means that resilience needs to become an integral part of cybersecurity, not something that is left as an afterthought. And by the way, there are two podcast episodes that fit nicely with this topic. One is a case study of a ransomware attack that describes what really happens in such a situation, and the other one is about using cyber ranges for exercising response plans. You'll find the links in the show notes. This was Cyber and AI Perspectives with Dejan Kosutic. Talk to you again in 2 weeks' time.